Picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning and check your bank account. It says you have $50,000. You smile, but then you go to the grocery store. A gallon of milk costs $300. A loaf of bread costs $200. Your car needs gas. $150 per gallon. Your $50,000? It will last you about 2 weeks, maybe 3 if you're careful. This is not science fiction. This is not a doomsday fantasy. This is what happens when a reserve currency collapses. And if you think it cannot happen to the dollar, you have not been paying attention to history. The US dollar has been the world's reserve currency for 82 years. That's longer than most countries have existed as modern nations. We've gotten so used to dollar dominance that we assume it's permanent, like gravity, like oxygen. But currencies don't last forever, and when they collapse, everything changes. Your job, your savings, your ability to buy food, all of it gets scrambled in ways most people can't even imagine. So what actually happens if the dollar collapses? Not in some distant sci-fi future, but actually, practically, in the next 5 to 10 years, because the conditions for a dollar collapse are more present right now than they've been in decades. Let's start with the basics. What does it actually mean for a currency to collapse? A currency's value is based on trust. That's it. A dollar bill is literally a piece of paper. It has no intrinsic value. You can't eat it. You can't build shelter with it. Its entire value comes from the fact that other people believe it's worth something. And more importantly, that the government backing it will honor its obligations. When trust breaks, the currency collapses. This sounds abstract until you see it happen in real time. Let's look at some historical examples. In 1989, the Soviet ruble was the official currency of a nuclear superpower. It was backed by vast natural resources, a massive economy, and military might. By 1991, when the Soviet Union fell apart, the ruble had lost 90% of its value in 2 years. People who had saved their entire lives in rubles lost everything overnight. Or look at Zimbabwe. In 2000, the Zimbabwean dollar was worth something. You could buy things with it. By 2009, the currency had hyperinflated so badly that the government had to print a 100 trillion note. Yes, 100 trillion. A single bill. And it couldn't buy you a loaf of bread. People were literally burning money for heat because it was worth less than the firewood. Or Venezuela. Just 20 years ago, Venezuela was one of the richest countries in Latin America. Massive oil reserves, strong currency, good living standards. Today, the Venezuelan bolivar has lost 99% of its value. People are fleeing the country because their currency is worthless. What do all of these have in common? They all followed the same pattern. First, unsustainable government spending and debt accumulation. Second, currency debasement, the government printing money to cover its spending. Third, inflation spiraling out of control. Fourth, loss of confidence in the currency. And fifth, collapse. Now here's the question nobody wants to ask. Is the US on the same path? Let's look at the numbers. The US federal government is spending $1.8 trillion more than it collects in taxes every single year. That's not an estimate. That's the official budget deficit. To cover the shortfall, the Treasury issues bonds. Essentially, the government borrows money by promising to pay it back with interest. And for 30 years, the world was happy to lend to the US. Why? Because US Treasuries were considered the safest investment on earth. The US had never defaulted, ever, on its obligations. But the debt's been accumulating. We're now at $38 trillion in federal debt. That's not $38 trillion per person. That's $38 trillion in total, and it's growing. The debt to GDP ratio, which measures how big the debt is relative to the size of the economy, is now 130%. In simple terms, the government's debt is worth more than the entire economic output of the country for a year and a third. Is that sustainable? Historically, when countries hit debt to GDP ratios above 90%, things get weird. When they hit 130%, things usually break. Japan has a debt to GDP ratio of 256% higher than the US, but Japan has some special circumstances. Their debt is mostly domestically held. Interest rates are still low because the Bank of Japan has kept them there artificially. But even Japan's situation is unraveling. The Bank of Japan started raising interest rates in late 2025 for the first time in 30 years. If rates rise, interest payments on the debt explode. And the whole system becomes unsustainable. The US isn't at that point yet. But we're heading there, and markets know it. This is why we've been seeing the dollar weaken. In 2000, the dollar made up 71% of global currency reserves. Today, it's 59%. That might not sound like much, but in absolute terms, we're talking about trillions of dollars in foreign holdings, shifting out of the dollar into other currencies, gold, and alternative assets. Central banks are quietly diversifying. China's been buying gold steadily. Russia bought massive amounts of gold after sanctions hit. Even traditionally dollar-friendly countries like Saudi Arabia are now accepting payments in yuan for oil sales. The confidence in the dollar is eroding slowly, but it's eroding. Now, here's where it gets dangerous. If confidence erodes quickly instead of gradually, you don't get a slow decline. You get a collapse. Picture this scenario. It's 2027. The Federal Reserve is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Inflation is still above 3% and sticky. But if they raise rates to fight inflation, the interest payments on $38 trillion in debt explode. The government can't afford the interest payments. So instead, the Fed decides to keep rates low and let inflation run. Maybe 4, 5, or 6% annually. The government prints money to cover its spending because borrowing becomes too expensive. Inflation accelerates. Nobody wants to hold dollars because they're losing purchasing power. Foreign central banks start selling their treasury holdings aggressively. Yields spike. The bond market seizes up. Credit becomes expensive. Companies start struggling to borrow and invest. Unemployment rises. The economy slows. But inflation doesn't stop because the government is still printing money. You're now in stagflation. Inflation plus stagnation. The worst of both worlds. People start demanding to be paid more because their wages aren't keeping up with prices. Companies raise prices to cover higher wages. That's a spiral. At some point, maybe 6 months into this, maybe 2 years, something breaks. A major bank fails. A large company defaults. The stock market crashes 40%, then 50%, then 60%. Credit freezes. And suddenly, people realize the dollar isn't what they thought it was. Panic selling begins. Everyone wants out of dollars simultaneously. The currency crashes in value against other currencies, and hard assets like gold, that's a currency collapse. And here's what happens next. First consequence, your savings get decimated if they're in dollars. Imagine you have $100,000 in a savings account earning 4% interest. You think you're doing well, but if the dollar collapses 50%, your $100,000 is now worth half of it. In real terms, the interest you earned just evaporated. People who were counting on that $100,000 for retirement suddenly can't retire. They have to keep working. People who saved cash for emergencies find that emergency fund is half as useful. This is why people who lived through hyperinflation in other countries start hiding assets. Not because they're paranoid, but because they've seen it happen. In 1920s Germany, people would go to the grocery store with wheelbarrows full of cash, buy a loaf of bread, and on the way home, decide they should have bought the bread earlier when it was cheaper. Second consequence, imported goods become insanely expensive. The US imports roughly $3 trillion worth of goods and services annually. Everything from iPhones to clothes to car parts to pharmaceuticals. Most of it's priced in dollars or priced based on the dollar exchange rate. When the dollar collapses, every import becomes more expensive. Your grocery store bills spike. Electronics become luxury items. Medicine becomes hard to find because manufacturers can't afford to import it. A shirt that used to cost $25 now costs $50. A car that used to cost $30,000 now costs $60,000. Gas prices spike because oil is priced globally in dollars, and if dollars are worth less, you need more of them to buy the same amount of oil. People's cost of living doubles, triples, or more, and wages don't keep up, so real purchasing power collapses. Third consequence, the financial system destabilizes. Banks hold a lot of assets denominated in dollars. US Treasury bonds, mortgages, corporate bonds, cash. When the dollar collapses, all of those lose value. Bank balance sheets get destroyed. If you have $100,000 in a bank account and the bank is insolvent, what happens? In theory, the FDIC insures deposits up to $250,000. But the FDIC doesn't actually have $250,000 per depositor in reserves. It has maybe 2% of that. So if everyone tries to withdraw their money simultaneously, the banks can't pay. They close. You lose access to your money. Not permanently necessarily, but for months or years while things sort out. This isn't speculation. This happened during the savings and loan crisis in the 1980s. It happened during the 2008 financial crisis. It's happening right now in some countries. Argentina, for example, froze bank accounts during its currency crisis. Fourth consequence, real assets skyrocket in value. When the dollar collapses, people flee into things that have intrinsic value. Land, houses, gold, oil, commodities, hard assets, anything that can't be printed. Gold prices spike. Real estate values in dollars spike similarly. But here's the cruel part. Most people don't own real assets. Most people own dollars and dollar-denominated assets. So they watch from the sidelines as real assets become unaffordable. People who owned property become richer in nominal terms. People who rented get crushed because landlords raise rents to match inflation. Fifth consequence, government services deteriorate. When the currency collapses, the government's revenue in real terms falls. Taxes are collected in dollars, and those dollars are now worth less. So the government has less money in real terms to spend on everything. Roads don't get maintained, schools don't get funded properly, police and fire services get cut. Medicare and Social Security benefits get reduced in real terms because the government can't afford to increase them with inflation. The social safety net falls apart. Vulnerable populations suffer the most. Sixth consequence, international standing diminishes. The dollar's collapse means the U.S. can no longer borrow easily. Other countries lose confidence in the U.S. government's ability to repay debt. The U.S. loses the exorbitant privilege it's enjoyed for 82 years. Suddenly, the U.S. is treated like any other country, maybe like a moderately developed country. Foreign policy becomes harder because you can't use economic coercion when your currency is in free fall. Military spending becomes harder to maintain because the military relies on sophisticated imports priced in strong currencies. The U.S. goes from being a superpower to being a middle power. Seventh consequence, social unrest increases. When people's savings get decimated, their purchasing power collapses, and their future becomes uncertain, social stability suffers. Crime increases. Protests become more frequent. Political extremism rises. People get desperate. This is what happened in 1920s Germany before the rise of fascism. This is what happened in Venezuela before the humanitarian crisis. This is what's happening in Argentina right now. So what do? How do you protect yourself when the reserve currency starts to collapse? First, understand this. You cannot stop it. You're not going to vote your way out of $35 trillion in debt. You're not going to regulate your way back to manufacturing dominance. The structural forces are too powerful. The only thing you can control is your own exposure. Diversify out of dollar-denominated assets. Not all of them, but enough that you are not completely wiped out if the dollar loses half its value. Hold some gold, hold some Bitcoin, hold some foreign currency. Hold some real assets like real estate or commodities. The goal is not to get rich. The goal is to not get poor. Second, reduce your dependence on the system. If you have debt, especially variable rate debt, pay it down. Because when interest rates spike, that debt will eat you alive. If you rely on imported goods, find alternatives. Buy local when possible. Build resilience. Stock up on essentials. Not in a crazy doomsday prepper way. Just in a smart, prudent way. Third, invest in skills. In a currency crisis, the people who do well are the people who can produce value. Plumbers, electricians, doctors, engineers, people who can actually do things. If your skill set is entirely dependent on a functioning financial system, you are vulnerable. Learn something tangible. Fourth, build community. This sounds soft, but it is critical. When systems break down, people rely on networks, family, friends, neighbors. The lone wolf dies, the pack survives. Here is the most important thing to understand. The collapse of a reserve currency does not mean the end of the world. Life goes on, people adapt, new systems emerge. The British adapted after the pound fell, the Germans adapted after the mark fell, the Soviets adapted after the ruble fell. It was painful, it was chaotic, but humanity survived. The question is not whether you will survive. The question is how much you will lose. And that depends entirely on whether you see it coming. Most people do not. Most people trust the system until the very end. They keep their money in the bank. They keep working their job. They keep assuming tomorrow will look like today. And then one day it does not. And they are shocked. But you are not most people. You are watching this video. You are asking the right questions. You are looking at the data. And the data is screaming that the dollar's dominance is ending. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. Maybe 5 years, maybe 10, maybe 15. But the trend is clear. The diversification is happening. The alternatives are being built. The infrastructure for a post-dollar world is under construction. And when that world arrives, the people who prepared will be okay. Not great, not rich, but okay. They will have preserved their purchasing power. They will have avoided the worst of the chaos. They will have options. The people who did not prepare, they will wake up one morning and discover that their $50,000 savings account buys 2 weeks of groceries. And they will ask, how did this happen? Why did nobody warn me? But somebody did warn you. History warned you. The British pound warned you. The data warned you. And this video warned you. The only question is, what are you going to do about it? Because here is the brutal truth. The collapse of the dollar is not a random event. It is not bad luck. It is not a natural disaster. It is a choice made by politicians who spent money they did not have, a choice made by central bankers who printed money to cover the deficit, a choice made by corporations who offshored production to boost profits, a choice made by voters who demanded benefits without paying for them. We built this problem. And now we are going to live with the consequences. The only question is whether you're going to be a casualty or a survivor. Choose wisely.